Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are several hours after market close on Monday, August 30th. We're going to take our Monday look at Palantir. And every Monday we cover Palantir, so if you are interested in that and you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing and hitting those notifications so that you catch our Monday updates, or at least swing back every Monday and have a look. All right, so Palantir had a pretty solid day today. I mean, up just a little bit, but we'll go through the daily in a minute. But this is, of course, after having several days of continuing to inch up. Now, if you haven't caught the previous videos, I'll just do a quick recap of what you're looking at here. This is a Fibonacci extension that I put in to basically track what looked to me like a pretty clean retracement from that 1706 low to the 2750 high. And then when we settled here at the $20.55 level, it seemed like a logical area for it to retrace if it was going to. So I put in the retracements, and basically this retracement, for to my mind, or for my investments, I'm looking at this $30.99 level, which is a 100% extension. So that's what I'm looking for from my own personal position in this. I don't know if it'll make it. So far it's plugging away pretty well. It's a little bit more gradual than I would have liked to see, but part of that is just being an impatient person with some of these trades. But all in all, obviously it's performing pretty well. It's just there's so many haters out there in Palantir that it can sometimes, you pay too much attention to that, it can drown out some of the strategy that you're trying to deploy. Look today, Palantir Technologies stock rises Monday, still underperforms market. I mean, just for whatever reason, the media and the analysts have long been haters of Palantir. I don't know why, but and I know that's an overgeneralization, but that's my take on it. But anyway, so these are the levels that I'm following, and as you see, it's done a good job pushing off from level to level so far, and at this point it's in a bullish trend long term. So it's established over this 200 MA, which is in red. We have a pretty fresh bullish crossover, the 20 MA crossing above the 50. You see there the purple crossing above the yellow, and now it's going to make a run at the 200 if the green days continue. And the MACD holding on strong. It looked like it was wanting to peel off here, right? It got pretty dicey here, sort of threatened a bearish crossover, but then got a second win and has continued to push. And the thing that has allowed me to kind of stay in and keep my sort of bullish thought process in this is the volume has stayed consistently strong by volume. Obviously not as strong as this day with nearly 190 million, but that's, the earnings reaction, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly. But I mean, still today coming in, the last 3 days, 46, 52, and then almost 44 today. And one red day there in the last 6 trading days. So to me, it's putting together a nice string, and the MACD still has plenty of room to the upside. It's not like it's super overextended, in my opinion, and so I think that there's still potential. Now, there's a couple of dicey things coming up. One, it did reject really hard off of its highs today, right around 2660, and like I said, we'll go in and take a look at the daily in a minute. But the other thing is this looming red area here. Now this is a danger zone here. You see this is where it topped out at 2750. But if we look further left, this is where it topped out here. This was in March. And then even back here, this is where it flipped from support. You see it had support here on February 17th, and it resisted this on February 18th, had support again on February 19th and on February 22nd, and then developed it as resistance on February 23rd, and then got trapped underneath it and pushed down, and that's how we got down to 1706. So to me, that's going to be a very, very strong area to overcome, and that red box stretches from about 2755 down to 27.26. So that area I'm thinking is going to be quite dicey if and when we get there. I mean, we have a pretty big percentage gain even to get there at this point, and we see prematurely here this inverted hammer, though it was a green candle, is, pretty strong rejection off that today. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. It, like I said, it does have these bullish factors coming in at the moment, so it's a little bit of a battle to see who's going to win out here, but it's interesting for sure. So that's what I'm looking at on the daily. Now, if we take a quick look and see how things have been going on the 1 minute chart intraday, I'm going to pop these MAs off for the time being, and we'll throw in the VWAP. Now we see it establishing really, really strongly off the VWAP right at open. Right, big green candle here, just 3 minutes into open, volume started to pick up and carried it up nice and strong. Now volume fell off and just continued to fall off, and it tried to hold the VWAP through that, and then it just couldn't with that trailing volume. And with the volume staying away, it just continued to kind of fizzle down. That's the word I'm looking for. I had fiddle stuck in my head. I was like, don't say that. That's not right. And then eventually sort of making its way all the way down to this 25.57 range that is on the chart, and sort of trying to catch itself there, flipping it to resistance, and then battling with it in the aftermarket hours as well. So that's a little bit of the challenge of today. Now, if we flip back to Friday, we see this performed much, much better on Friday, established similarly at open. We had some volume start to increase. It established over. It was able to hold that volume pretty close to this blue line for quite some time. Now, it did die down quite a bit here, but it had a solid distance between itself and the VWAP at that point. So then when buy volume came back in here around 11:30, it was able to boost itself up again. And even with some sell volume countering, it was just established well above the VWAP and was able to hold really strongly. Now it tested, and then that was on relatively low volume, actually. See down here. And this double test, it was able to jump off again. So obviously big differences here of how this is reacting throughout any given day, with the volume interplaying with the VWAP. But just to sort of say, this is what I'm looking for if I'm trading this more in a day-to-day time frame. Similarly, you see a few minutes in, jumps off, and the green volume holding pretty steady and establishing above, and then the sell volume starts to pick up a little bit, and just overall then the volume kind of dies down. But it had already challenged the VWAP, fell below, and wasn't able to reclaim yet. So it came down, buy volume started to pick up, worked itself straight through the VWAP, didn't put up really any fight at all, and then was able to hold it here even through some sell volume, and then the volume continued to pick up again in the later in the morning and pushed up pretty high. So something I've been looking at, I can certainly go in and study it a little bit more, but the timing on some of these pushes with Palantir, there seems to have been some consistency from what I'm seeing. And like I said, I want to look at it a little bit more specifically, and if there's anything valuable to take away from that, I'll certainly throw it in next week's video or in a video in between now and then. But the timing on some of these things seems to follow a pattern often. I don't know if it's more often than not. I don't know if it's just a figment of my imagination, but I'm going to grab some time and do a little bit of a study on it and try to break it down and see if there's anything there. And if not, then I just won't share to say, hey, there's nothing here. But if there is something, I'll gladly come in and share it with folks to see if it's helpful to anyone else. But for now, this is what I'm looking at, and certainly watching the MACD to see if there's any threats of a bearish cross, keeping track of the volume day to day to see if the volume stays strong, especially on these green days, and then watching strongly this red zone if we're able to breach that $27 mark and see what it does with that red zone. Sort of two thoughts: either it'll reject hard off of it and confirm that resistance is very, very strong, and that doesn't mean that it can't go back and then overtake it, or I could also see the potential for it to kind of blow through it, being that the the sell volume, or the sell pressure, I guess, was consumed between this selling and this selling was very strong, obviously. And that maybe that consumed most of the selling pressure that exists at that level, and that this time when it encounters that price, there won't really be that heavy of a wall there. But we'll see if and when we get there. First challenge is to even get there in the first place. All right, folks. Well, I hope that your trading week got off to a good start today. I certainly appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.